Hi there. Thanks so much for your interest in the Practicing Regeneration workshop series. This video is some excerpts from the first information session that we offered. It was an hour-long call, but these are just the parts of that call where Natalia and I introduced ourselves. We talked about who this program is for. We offered a quick overview of the program structure. And we answered, in this video only, we answered two questions. One about the lineage of our work, our original sources of inspiration and information. And we talked about how the two of us met and how we decided to work together. I hope this is helpful. Please reach out if you'd like to have other questions answered, and we really hope you'll join us in the course. Thanks. My background started out in brand strategy. I got a master's degree in international marketing. My bachelor's degree is in Russian studies. So I moved to Russia and I worked for these two big multinational companies and very quickly felt that something fundamental was missing in how we think about our relationship with customers and with community and our responsibility to customers and community. But no one else seemed to think that anything was wrong. And these are some of the most admired companies in the world. So I thought maybe it's just me. Maybe marketing just isn't for me. I moved in a pretty dramatic career shift into organizational development, and that felt a little better. But I noticed some really familiar, common patterns of the guiding story that we have about work, about our relationship with employees within an organization, and again with community and the biosphere. And around the same time, this was in the late 1990s, people started to recognize that sustainability was an issue, that the system we have and the story we have wasn't perfect, that new approaches were needed, but we couldn't imagine different ways of being. And so I decided to figure out, where did we get the story we have that says, my sense was that says everything operates like a machine? And what if there's more to that story? What if there's also life? And what if the point of everything we do is to enable life to thrive? This was in 2000, 2001. I went into that research in depth and developed the patterns and principles, identified some of the patterns and principles of living systems that I will share in the program, and that formed the basis of my work. Along the way, in 2007, I added this skill set of the art of hosting. This is a global community of practice of facilitation methods, but grounded in the belief that what we're hosting is what wants to come to life for any group. And now my approach to regeneration is really a blend of all of these. It's this continual hosting and co-design of structures and systems to align the internal with the external, all in explicit service of life's ability to thrive. And I bring this philosophy and this practice and frameworks to different sectors around the world. I work a lot in tourism. I work with farmers in their transition to regenerative methods of agriculture. I work in elder care, life sciences, education, and more. This is my book, and I published it in 2016, and to my great relief, it still seems to be relevant. So it's still out there. And Natalia.
Yeah, nice to meet you, everyone. Thank you, Michelle. So I'm Natalia. I'm really happy to be here with you. I am an artist at heart and became an entrepreneur really early in my life. I grew up and lived in Mexico and in France. And as I continued to develop and learn, just like Michelle, I continued to be on a quest of what else was there that could make me feel more connected, more whole. I studied business in Vancouver and arrived to Montreal to work for great companies such as L'Oreal, to name a few, and ended up, my family, I founded at Yves Rocher, where I stayed for many years. I was the CEO of the North American subsidiary. And Yves Rocher is known to be or is not as known, but it is an impact company and very connected to its roots and its impact. And it was a bit of school for me, to everything related to what is sustainability. But slowly, as I learned and as I deepened my understanding of what it meant to be an organization within a larger system that is connected and lives on our planet Earth, it became really important for me to understand a bit more what it meant to be a CEO when you have a lot of impact, both positive, negative, on Earth. And so I studied a master at Schumacher in regenerative economics, and within Yves Rocher, I was able to test a lot of the things I learned by being member of the mission committee, which is a legal vehicle in France that allows for company to have a social ecological mission and be audited by the state. And so that was a wonderful learning experience. And then I wanted to reconnect with the land here and see how I could have an impact here where I am, which is in Montreal. And so I became an impact investor and did that for a few years, as well as learning how to become a coach and a facilitator for the companies I was stewarding as an investor. And for the past 6 months, now that the fund is deployed and I'm coaching entrepreneurs, I'm coaching ecosystems to continue to integrate notions of regeneration in their practice as an individual, but also as a team and as an organization. And I've been working with Michelle and giving this course and so many other wonderful projects. There's so much that needs to be done. And so really happy to be here with you today.
It's a really delightful partnership. And I think that must be part of what you're looking for as well, to find out who are we and what is it like to be in a program with us. And I can tell you that we certainly have a good time. And I think that you would as well. So who is this for? And is it for you? And what we notice is that this program and the conversations related to it seem to draw and be relevant and useful for people who come in through 3 doorways. The first is those who are drawn to the worldviews and the wisdom of regeneration, the philosophy and the different ways of thinking. And sort of secondarily, then let's implement it. But we recognize that a new story is what's needed. The second doorway in is a little bit, some of you were describing maybe Judith in particular. I'm leading an organization and I can tell there are better ways. There are more life-aligned ways that will make this work more effective. And then I start to realize there's more to this than I understood. That's also fascinating and important. But my doorway in was through my leadership, through my 600-person organization, through that context. And then the third category is through the doorway of sustainability and recognizing the sustainability movement is not getting us to sustainability. We need to expand what we understand that we're sustaining.
And so in saying we see these doors, I guess we want to be playing with these different perspectives and the questions change depending on where you come from. So throughout these 9 weeks, we want to play with these different angles and see what are those questions, like you said, Camilo, and how can we best answer them for the ones that come through different doors so that it is complete.
That's beautiful. We'll also just touch on some of the details. These are available on the website. 2 hours a week. We skip 3 weeks along the way. Lots and lots of resources available, a workbook and plenty of frameworks and references to other materials, a very brief prompt to reflect each week to help you integrate what you've taken in. And Natalia in particular, through her coaching practice, offers personal exercises, because as we're discovering, this is not only an intellectual exercise, this is also quite a personal growth and evolutionary process as well. And through conversations in small groups, we'll be able to coach each other, encourage each other. Natalia, do you want to add something more? Take a
Maybe I can simply share, well, and we'll show a bit later in terms of what it means for the individual, but the school of coaching I went to is built on the strong belief that people are naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. And so we'll, during these 9 weeks, tap into your intuition. We'll go through, yes, thinking, but mostly a lot of feeling and embodying and developing these new skills. And we'll do that together, both individually and we'll make also visible the invisible. So that's something that can be perhaps difficult when you're doing it by yourself, will be an experience that can bring more potential and growth if done together.
We'll offer an opportunity for you to be in small learning teams. This is optional, but very powerful to work on specific case studies that you identify as a team. And as we're already experiencing, there's a real sense of shared curiosity and discovery from each other. This is in detail on the website, but this is sort of our pathway that within each of these aspects of this spiral, there is a lifetime of practice. We can spend a lifetime understanding this worldview that we've touched on here and the depth of wisdom that's available from our bodies, from nature, from indigenous wisdom. And so we'll offer enough of an orientation in that practice area and point towards some areas of continued exploration. And then if we embrace an understanding that it is a living world and that our organizations and communities and economies are living systems, that shifts our role to stewards and gardeners, cultivating the fertile conditions for life to thrive. So there's a whole lifetime of practice there, and we'll offer just enough to help you be oriented and grounded and keep learning after the course. There are methods that are more aligned with life and learning and emergence, working with complexity. And so we'll offer those. And most of all, the deep understanding that the purpose of using any method is to draw on more of the intelligence of the systems that we're part of and that we are stewarding. So to helping us all orient around that intention through the methods of information sharing and decision making. And this is how we discover then we're well equipped with these first 3 practice areas to continually discern what is ours to do in this meeting or in this organization or as a sector. And that is a continuous process of evolution and new discernment. We can ask bigger questions, not only how will we measure it, but how will we know, and make sure that the process of monitoring, of sensing how well we are cultivating our ability to thrive, that the process itself grows the system's generative and regenerative capacity. And we can move into action in a spirit of learning and growing capacity. And all of this is a continual process of learning and celebration and deepening. So those of us who are drawn to the worldview kind of want to live here. I would love to spend my life in this practice area, or some of us want to jump straight to the action. How do we do it? But there's a how behind the how. There's a lot that has to be cultivated, a lot of skill, a lot of practice and learning. So to us, this is a comprehensive approach. We can speak them out as well. Natalia, would you like to say just a few words about this?
Just, I mean, and I've said it, I think already, but just is just to put even more emphasis on the fact that we will, as a whole, evolve, and then it will mean something for you as an individual, and then in your relationship and in your organizations or whatever you're stewarding. So we have also time for a coaching session so that we can explore what it means for you. What is your contribution? What is important in your life and in your work. And so we'll have individual exercises throughout the session as they relate to the areas of the spiral, and also as they relate to you.
And I see this diagram, which is from Theory U, such a powerful diagram. I see it sort of as overlaying. We could organize it as a spiral as well. So it's a nice accompaniment.
that brings a question up for me, which is also part of what brings me here. Um, what other where what other lineages of teaching do you see yourself drawing from?
Mm, wow,
I'm
that's a good
curious about
question.
that. Yeah. So the theory U is there. I see that.
Yeah, yeah. For me, it's been 25 years, so it's very hard. But I can remember the early inspirations, which were Margaret Wheatley and Fritjof Capra, Elizabeth Sattouris. So sort of Western scientific thinkers
Hmm.
finding their way to Eastern philosophies and quantum science and biology. That's
Hmm.
my strongest lineage. And from there, I've branched in so many directions. Natalia,
Hmm.
do you have an answer to that?
Yeah, mine is quite different. I would say Jason Hickel and donut economics and small is beautiful and arts. Um, so a lot of it is creativity and embodied experience. And as a woman too, fertility, journey of fertility, and being a mom, a sister, and a daughter.
Ask you, how did both of you meet actually, and
Oh,
why did you decide to work together?
there you go. Okay, thank you for that. That's a good one. I was working with the Regenerative Capital Group, which is an investment fund in Canada that is dedicated to figuring out how do we do investment in a regenerative way. They put out a call to entrepreneurs who were interested in being part of their program. Natalia was one who had explored working with them, and so we got connected through that fund.
Okay.
And hit it off, and we're both in Montreal, and it seemed just a really nice complementarity.
Exactly.
Mhm,
Well said.
mhm.